My Hero Academia is one of those major anime, the kind that jumps out in popularity and practically leads the direction of pop culture in the anime world. It has all the classic tropes of starting on Shonen Jump, it appeared when the previous big three were down, and it's your classic super-powered fantasy romp. It is also an anime now that has reached season 6, and people aren't as hyped as they used to be. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there are plenty of hyped up fans, but for steering the whole conversation in the anime community, it's not doing as great a job as previous works. In fact, a lot of people say it's kind of basic. I don't often have much of an opportunity to talk about anime. It's kind of been a hit or miss thing on my channel in the past, but screw it, I'm talking about it today. As I wanted to explore back across My Hero Acca to see what it was that made this anime so impactful in the early days when it hit everyone's streaming screens. And why nowadays, when people think of modern My Hero Academia, they think more...
Right. We haven't had season 4 yet, have we?
I don't even know.
Wait, no, we haven't.
I don't think so.
No, we have. No,
we
I
haven't.
don't.
No, we haven't.
So let's touch on season 1 first. Makes sense. When I first watched it, I was absolutely hooked. Everyone loves a good underdog story, but of course the elements that really stood out to me was how much each scene just milked the emotional beats of the moment. One of the most emotionally hyped up scenes in the early episodes is when All Might finally approaches Deku with the proposal that he can become a hero. After 2 episodes of agonizing rejection of a dream that is just unobtainable, to finally have it turned around in a scene that's just glowing in this beautiful golden sunset is so satisfying to finally have pay off. Plus, the whole time, Deku is juggling us with his internal monologue, looking back on all the events of rejection in the past to really try to lean into the waterworks that follows in a way that brings it in as much as possible. Plus, I guess the idea is pretty cool too. In a world full of quirks, it's interesting to see all the creativity that comes out of that prompt and where Deku's story goes from there alongside a #1 hero who's clearly fading. Then skip ahead to the end of this season. Over the jump, we've been enjoying the slice-of-life elements of a super-powered school with teachings and improvements on Deku's part this whole time, but also learning more of All Might's limitations as a godly-seeming figure. And the climax of the season comes in with a showdown between the kids and the villainous group, the League of Villains, until All Might finally pops up, unsmiling as he's ready to show the true limits of his power. But to add in more stakes to just an adult about to beat up a bunch of kids, All Might is shown to already be at his limits in his strengthened form. And so, it's a surprisingly disadvantaged match for the old man, with Deku thinking he needs to run in to help and other students popping in briefly and all. But My Hero Acca capitalizes on the hype still with that iconic You Say Run starting in the background as All Might begins his final speech, speeds up his actions, and his eyes start glowing in that weird way it does. Everything in the moment builds up until his final hit. Stretching out his face as much as possible and catapulting on the action as much as possible. It is built up too slowly, it is milked like hell during the moment, and then it is paid off with that fantastic soundtrack and slow-mo onto the most explosive final outcome. At the time when this season was just releasing, to all of us, except the manga readers, this was all so new. Jump ahead to season 5, and something is just not the same. I watched it all when it came out, but something about it was just not as hooking as before. Yet all of the elements are still somewhat there. There are still action scenes, it's a slice-of-life school story, there are exams, even tournament battles, kinda. There's a Christmas episode, a plotline with the League of Villains, and all sorts of pro-hero stuff with Hawks and Endeavor. And yet, watching it felt somewhat like a chore. Part of the glamour of the early day moments was the fact that this world was so fresh and unknown to us, except to the manga readers. We hadn't seen All Might at his true strength or much of his personal struggles. Deku was brute force learning even the most basics of his moves to the point where we were hyped up over a fingertip at a time. And all of the collective class of characters were each interesting as we got to know them. But come season 5, and what is there to see? 7 episodes of an exam where the class we know well are against the class we know less well. Alright, and yet I still remember nothing other than that one Ant-Man powered character and a mushroom being grown inside someone's esophagus. Ugh. And as for All Might, we've seen him fight again and again at this point, sometimes in interesting circumstances, but he's gone now, withered as he is and just lingering about. And Deku has grown good and strong and kind of basic. It's to the point that I'm more interested in all the side characters' arcs and skill sets because Deku has reached that point of pretty damn insusceptible. It's in general just a harder prompt to have to carry as the series has slowly made its way up to the standard superhero romp. Of course, that's not to say that the show is trash now and has been for a while. There's all sorts of amazing moments I've enjoyed from across the entire saga. In Season 2, of course, we had the infamous tournament arc that we adored for the first time. An opportunity to properly see all these classmates in their element, as well as some more emotional weight for some character motivations and stories. In fact, with the Deku vs Todoroki fight, it's all about the emotional weight over the actual action of the fight, even if it goes that way anyway. One of the most hyped moments of the whole franchise that showed My Hero Academia wasn't just a one-hit wonder with Season 1. Plus, later on in that season, we also got the fight against the Hero Killer and the trio attack of Deku, Todoroki, and Ida. Fantastic stuff once again. Then, in Season 3, it started to lose me, and I think some other people as well. Arc-wise, this season plugs the kids 7 episodes into a campsite environment with collections of villains for different pockets of children, which is good and alright. But then we come to what's meant to be the super hype moment of this arc, other than the plot point that Bakugo gets taken away. It's Deku versus this thing. He's the figurehead of the super battle now, as much as this is just some side goon, and he's slowly getting crushed as he's just not good enough yet. Until... I won't let you hurt Koda! Oh, that was kind of quick. Wasn't so much of an emotional milking that time. And then he just kind of goes from there. I mean, there is one cool element with... One for all! 1,000,000%! Though that too also kind of comes out of nowhere, and didn't quite impact me the same way as it felt a little undeserved. Or maybe it just jumped a bit too high for my taste right off the bat. Still, this was a decent season, not as good as numbers 1 and 2, but it had some good bits throughout. Since I've roped you in halfway through the vid, consider subscribing. Maybe I'll poke an anime prompt more often. And Season 4, I actually really liked, but kind of just in hindsight. Does that make sense? People were hyped for this story arc, and it went on for 7 episodes. Man, I never noticed each chunk was just 7 episodes. Yet somehow, it always felt like so much more. I mean, bearing in mind the fact that watching this as it comes out means each episode releases per week and occasionally skipping an extra week for Japanese events means this chunk of story takes a solid 2 months to roll out. So when you're not as into it as previous prompts, it can feel like it really drags. Even with this stellar story, I remember rolling my eyes when it was another episode that wasn't the main event. Maybe I'm just a bad viewer. I stuck around, okay? And nowadays I can look back at the season with fonder eyes as I say, keep the episodes with Sun Eater and maybe skim the rest until Lemillion. Because again, once it actually got to the moment, it really kicked up the emotional weight again, with all sorts of slow-mo and then finish it off with a skip to endgame Deku, so I would assume. One for all, full counting, 100%! Of course it's a Goku clone. Why did I not think this would end up as another Super Saiyan-esque power scale? And even post-action, the whole element of the school festival with a recovering Emmy is something that just melts your heart in a way that's clearly the primary objective of the series as a whole, to be a heartwarming yet hype-hitting show. I'm also a really big fan this season of the Red Riot upgrade from before the main event. I don't know, it's almost the highlight of the season for me. Kind of reminiscent of the early days of Deku, where I'm rooting for a more underdog character as time slows down and they hype up every beat to finally pay it off in a satisfying way as the character upgrades in some unseen way to before. If anything, I'm looking forward to more moments like this going forward. But then we came to Season 5, and I think this may be the major reason as to why so many people have flaked off of My Hero Academia these days. If Season 3 is what had My Hero Acca dip in attention, it was Season 5 that really made it flop in the public eye. I watched it all as it came out like a good little anime boy, and there were just scraps of best moments for me. Across 25 episodes, there were, to me at least, so little truly memorable moments. Maybe I'm just losing my memory more as I age. I mean, there was a good chunk that happened, a whole 7-part exam, interactions with Endeavor as the main trio took on his agency, and the finale fight with an upgraded league of villains, but something about it all was missing this time. Sure, it was cool to see different powers used in different ways, and Tokoyami did have a grand little upgrade along the way, and there was that one piece of advice from Endeavor about how using quirks is like driving a car and how you multitask on autopilot. Oh yeah, and also the multiple quirks thing. Deku at this point has now begun manifesting multiple quirks, which should be incredibly hypening. And yet, I'm not. Is it because the new quirk isn't that grand, not really prepped for a super payoff? Is it because we just kind of exposited about the whole thing so we knew to expect it? Or is it because it's just a kind of basic premise to play with in our world of oversaturated superhero movies? I don't know, but despite the fact I should be really interested in these new directions that the new show goes in, all of these beats are just overshadowed by the super successes of the past. I like all sorts of little-ish moments, like when Bakugo and Deku had to fight against All Might for an exam and got completely wrecked, and yet it still feels smallish, even if it wasn't intending to be. When All Might lost his powers, I remember the pointing afterwards. I don't really remember the fight, though maybe that's just because they kept repeating it a million times in the series. Maybe I should consider binging the series just to help with all these memory problems. Maybe it's a pacing issue with the episodic release schedule, though that's still the intended rate. Am I hyped for Season 6? No, not really. I'm awaiting the day All Might dies. Surely that's happening at some point, right? Because I'm sure that will be yet another highlight of the series we'll all immortalize. But the direction it's currently going doesn't have me on board. Seeing Deku with new quirks is alright, though I'm already over his second one. I have little interest with Hawks and Endeavor still. I get what they're going for, but I'm just not into it, you know? And I guess I'll see what this Shigaraki can do, but this build up to this army fight that's been agonizingly built up in the slowest method possible is one that I really hope meets up with the hype, because to me, reading a book 1,000 times with the same hidden messaging was not the one. Though I hear manga readers are pretty hyped for this next arc, and I've seen some pretty beefy manga spoilers in general that I guess I'm excited to see one day? It's probably Season 10, isn't it? I don't know if I can wait that long. What I think My Hero Academia has been suffering from is the everlasting nature of its own franchise, and ironically, the super successes of its early days. To me at least, it feels like lately it's just been overshadowed by itself and how damn hype the first couple seasons were. And we're all holding it up to that standard, only to not get that. But on the flip side, looking over the franchise again, there's a good chunk of stuff throughout that I really want to praise. So perhaps what this really comes down to is a particularly bad season or two. Season 5 being the most hype-dampening example we've seen so far, but perhaps with everything already bloody well built up, there'll be less filler-feeling episodes as we roll into Season 6, and instead just get some damn good anime again. Or we won't, and I'll drop the series along with everyone else who already hasn't given it a chance. My Hero Academia has kind of been that basic crowd pleaser of a popular anime. It's a classic tale, but over time has been losing some steam. Let's just see if over these next 3 months, the world of Deku and All Might can reel us back in, episode by episode. I, for one, am on the fence, but I'll be watching anyway, like the good little anime boy I am. For now, my name's been Dazz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit.